I still remember exactly how she said it. Calm, steady, almost practiced. "I'm leaving you for my ex," she told me across the dinner table, her fingers tracing the rim of her wine glass like she was keeping time with her own heartbeat. For a second, I thought she was joking. We'd been married for 11 years. We'd built a home, shared laughter, survived storms. But the look in her eyes told me this wasn't a test or threat. It was final. There was no tremor in her voice, no guilt, no hesitation, just cold certainty. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I didn't even ask why. I just nodded once and said, "Okay." That single word seemed to catch her off guard. She blinked, as if she hadn't rehearsed for that answer. She'd probably prepared herself for a scene. Shouting, pleading, tears. She was ready for guilt, maybe pity. What she got instead was quiet acceptance, and that unnerved her more than anger ever could. She frowned. "That's it? You're not going to say anything?" I looked at her for a long moment before replying. "What's left to say, Anna? If you've already chosen him." Then the conversation ended before it began. Her lips pressed into a thin line. "You don't understand, Mark. This isn't about you. I just need to be happy." I gave a faint smile. "Then I hope you find that." The silence that followed was thick, awkward, suffocating. She stood, grabbed her bag, and walked out. The sound of the door closing echoed through the house like a final verdict. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't drink. I just sat there, surrounded by the remains of the life she'd chosen to abandon. The photos, the faint scent of her perfume, the laughter that used to fill every corner. It all felt like it belonged to someone else now. But under the calm, something shifted. I realized I had spent years trying to be the husband she wanted, bending, compromising, giving everything while she kept taking. Her leaving wasn't a loss. It was a freedom I'd been too afraid to claim. Before bed, I opened my laptop and typed an email to my lawyer. I didn't plan to fight dirty or cling to what was gone, but I would make sure that this time, I wouldn't be left as the fool. The next morning, I woke early, made myself coffee, and watched the sunrise through the kitchen window. It felt different, lighter somehow. For the first time in years, I didn't feel the pressure of trying to please someone else. The house was quiet, peaceful, no perfume, no tension, no eggshells. Around 10, my phone rang. An unknown number. "This is Richard Collins, Mrs. Porter's attorney." A voice said, "We'd like to discuss a few formalities regarding the separation." I almost smiled. She hadn't wasted any time. "Of course," I said calmly. "Send me whatever you need." He paused, slightly thrown by my tone. "You're taking this quite well, Mr. Porter." "Why wouldn't I?" I replied, "She's getting what she wants." He hesitated. "She's requested full ownership of the house and half your joint savings. I hope we can avoid unnecessary complications." That's when I finally chuckled. "You might want to double-check the paperwork. Mr. Collins, the house was paid off before the marriage. It's in my name only. And as for the savings, I moved those into a separate account last month. Joint accounts are closed." A silence followed. "I see. I'll send you my attorney's details," I said politely. "You can deal with him from now on." Then I hung up. I knew that call would hit Anna's breakfast table like a shockwave, but I didn't need revenge. I just wanted her to understand what it felt like to underestimate someone who'd finally stopped caring. An hour later, a text came through. "What did you do?" I replied, what I should have done a long time ago. Protected myself. No response. By evening, my lawyer Daniel called, laughing. "Well, Mark, it seems your wife and her lawyer are both furious. They thought you'd roll over like before." "Let them be angry," I said. "She can have her ex. But she's not walking away with what I built." Daniel chuckled. "You handled this better than most. Calm under fire, that's rare." Calm. Yes, that's what broke her. The calm she never saw coming. Anna had always thrived on control, on emotion, on drama. But I'd taken that power from her simply by not reacting. That night, under the stars, I thought about all the times I'd swallowed my pride to keep the peace, all the apologies I'd made for things I didn't do. I promised myself that chapter was closed. 2 days later, She showed up at the house unannounced. She looked different. Tired, restless, uncertain. The confidence she'd worn like armor the night she left was gone. She stood in the doorway, clutching her purse. "Can we talk?" she asked softly. I stepped aside. "Sure." She walked through the living room slowly, her eyes landing on the bare walls where her photos used to hang. I'd taken them down the morning after she left, not out of spite, but to clear the air of ghosts. "I didn't expect you to act like this," she said finally. "How did you expect me to act?" I asked. "Beg you to stay?" "Promise to change." Her gaze faltered. "I just thought you'd care more." "I did care," I said quietly. "For years. You just stopped noticing." She hesitated. "My ex, David, he said you'd try to make things difficult, that you'd turn bitter." I smiled faintly. "He doesn't know me." The silence that followed was heavy, fragile. I could almost see it hit her. The realization that she'd lost control of the story she'd been telling herself. She wasn't the victim anymore. "Richard told me about the accounts." "The house," she said. "You planned this, didn't you?" "I planned to protect myself." I replied evenly. "You made the decision to leave. I just made sure I didn't lose myself in the process." For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she sighed. "I thought leaving you would make me happy. But David isn't who I remembered. It's not what I thought it would be." I met her eyes. "Anna, you didn't lose me because you fell for someone else. You lost me because you stopped valuing the kind of love that doesn't waver." Her eyes filled with tears. Can we start over?" I didn't hesitate, but my voice stayed calm. "No, I'm done living in circles. You made your choice, and I made mine." She exhaled shakily. "You've changed." "Maybe," I said, standing. "Or maybe I just stopped letting you break me piece by piece." When she walked out, something inside me shifted. Not anger, not sadness, but clarity. She came expecting guilt, expecting me to crumble like before. Instead, she left realizing she no longer had that power. The next morning, my lawyer called again, laughing. Her attorney just quit on her mid-meeting. Said he's done with her drama. I smiled to myself. Guess I'm not the only one who's finally free. And for the first time in years, I truly was